Well, welcome Armando and John to the DANcast.
I'm not ready.
I know y'all are pro podcasters as hosts of the Dive Shack, Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack podcast, and you're both commercial divers yourselves with the Port of Long Beach. So I know, Dan, we focus on the world of recreational diving primarily, but I know a lot of divers on our side are fascinated by the work that, divers like yourselves do. So we'd love to hear about your backgrounds, how you came into your work now and, the training involved.
Nice. Well, I was born a poor, I guess really we all start, in my case, I don't know about you, but scuba diving. I mean, here in Long Beach, I got my PADI card and went crazy from there. I enjoyed it. I enjoy recreation diving. It's fun.
And that's one of the things that we share in common with, every diver, anybody that puts their head underwater. They love the world of, they're curious.
Yeah.
They want to know what's going on down there.
Opens your
That's
eyes.
the main reason why I wanted to first snorkel and, dip my head below the surface. It's like, what the hell's going on down there? What kind of monsters are lurking the deep?
Right.
So that's where you have to have a love for the underwater world, and then you want to turn it into a career. Johnny, I personally didn't know this career existed.
Neither did I. No, I was a lifeguard at first with the city of Long Beach, and then my dad, who works with the port, was like, "Hey, they're looking for scuba divers for a search and rescue team. Don't you have your PADI card?" And I was like, "I sure do." And so I went over there and tried to get a job, and in the interview they were like, "We actually want to start a commercial diving team. We're going to send you to commercial dive school right here in Wilmington." And I was like, "Paid for?" And they're like, "Paid for." And I was like, "Oh, okay.
Sign me up."
Darn." Twist my arm, I guess. So that's how it really started for me.
And it was one of the preeminent schools in the world, too.
At the time, but it was kind of on its way down.
Yeah. It's the College of Oceaneering there in Wilmington.
Yeah, it was College of Oceaneering, but then it was relabeled, bought out by National Polytechnic.
And that's one of the things that we try to do on our show is provide some diver education. We're not a dive school, but anyone that does want to be a commercial diver, that's where you start. You have to go to dive school to be a commercial diver. And we try to tell them, hey, what the career entails, what it's like, the troubles that you're going to have, the troubles that we had, and what to look out for, stuff like that. So we definitely enjoy doing what we do to get people started in the commercial diving world, and that's like I said, that's something that we have in similarity with recreational divers, is that we share that love for the underwater world.
Wonderful. And as far as training, so it sounds like you started as a regular open water diver and then entered commercial. So as far as the comparison of dive school versus open water, I'm sure it's way more extensive, and just curious the length of time and the requirements involved.
It was more extensive. I mean, I showed up to the first PADI class in board shorts and flip-flops. So, it was really laid back. I had a really cool teacher. I forget his name now, but I don't know if he's still doing it. But it was fun. I enjoyed myself. And the tables, I never done a dive table before in my whole life. And I was like, oh, that's not that bad. And then when I got to commercial dive school, that's when it all changed. It was very militaristic at the time.
It
my
still
class,
is
at
kind
least.
of.
Yeah, we were doing all kinds of physical workouts, breath holding techniques, and getting sprayed in the face with a water hose while you're trying to do flutter kicks. It was kind of crazy.
Well,
Todd
I'm
Malloy, actually.
sort of interested in, because I know for recreational diving, when you take your first class or anything, you typically fill out a dive medical questionnaire. I think it's provided by the Undersea Hyperbaric Medical Society, and that's the standard for recreational. So I'm curious about, in your line of work, I'm sure it's a lot more physically demanding and requires a higher level of fitness than a 40-foot reef dive. So curious what exams are involved, and how you imagine probably have to be pretty fit to be a commercial diver.
You have to be able to pass the dive physical. You do have to be pretty fit, but it is the same standards that are set by the UHMS, the Hyperbaric Society, and The agency that we have here in the United States is the Association of Diving Contractors International that provides the certification cards for commercial divers. So they also work hand in hand with the undersea hyperbarics doctors to develop a kind of a rubric as far as a physical exam or test, different testing requirements that need to be done. And those change by age as well. So an entry-level kid at 20 years old, he doesn't have to do a stress test. Somebody like myself that's over 40, I've got to jump on a treadmill with the anodes all over my body to measure my heart to make sure I'm not having a heart attack or something. So, it's a little bit different when you get older. So when you get older, you are more susceptible to injury and to hyperbaric injuries as well. So it also depends on your age, but for the most part, it's very similar to the physical that you guys take as well, because it's overseen by the same doctors.
That's interesting. I kind of had in my head it would be a lot more, I guess, complicated or.
Totally understand that, because what we do is it does require a lot of skill, a lot of cardiac fitness. But for the most part, like I said before, it's kind of the same requirements that you would have as an entry-level scuba diver. That comes into play, like having to be physically fit and strong and all that. That's going to help when you get on the job. So there are certain tasks as a commercial diver that you do have to be just super fit. You got to be physically strong. You have to have good endurance. There are also some tasks where you can be a complete blob.
Like
you
us.
can be a tub of mayonnaise and be able to go and do a eelgrass inspection. Stuff like that, where it doesn't really require a lot of physical fitness. So it depends on the job, and you're going to get selected for those certain jobs on how well you perform in work. So as a commercial diver, you have to work. That's the first thing you do. Is that anyone can get through dive school for the most part. Anybody can make it through dive school, whether you stay busy or not, and whether you don't die is going to be based on your personal fitness. So it's kind of a weird roundabout answer to your question.
Same, but different, but still same.
Well, what in your minds makes a quote-unquote good commercial diver? Because I know in recreational, things like, buoyancy, situational awareness, level of how advanced you are as far as skills. Kind of curious, it sounds like fitness, and I'm sure a lot of it's dependent on the specific job, but, what makes a good commercial diver?
I guess.
Yeah. Again, it's like you're working a regular construction job. You just happen to be underwater. So what makes a good diver, diving specifically, is somebody that, again, same thing that you mentioned with the situational awareness. That's where water familiarity really comes into play. You don't have to be a scuba diver before to be a commercial diver. You can come straight off the street, not having breathed underwater before, and take the commercial diving class and make it through and be a successful diver. You can't be claustrophobic, so very similar to recreational. You're wearing this helmet on your head for hours on end. So you have to be comfortable putting something on your head like that and being enclosed in that little space.
And it gets hot in there too sometimes.
And you have to stay on bottom, obviously, to work. You can't just zoom up to the surface. You can't just go to the surface and just say, okay, that's it, I'm done. Sometimes you have to get in a chamber and decompress. But what makes a good diver is that you got to be a hard worker. That's one of the big things. You got to work hard, not be afraid to get dirty. So, and have tough skin. You have to have thick skin. That's a big thing, I think.
Yeah.
If you're a thick-skinned person that works hard, you're going to be fine. And you have to hustle. Never be told what to do. Take the initiative. You have to take the initiative and do stuff. Set up the gear. Set up the equipment. Check your equipment. Have a thirst for education. Always be learning. Education never stops. So you want to be that person that people can rely on.
Right.
It's kind of a life thing.
Yeah, have the coffee ready.
Well, and I know you brought up equipment, and I know your typical setup is quite a bit different from, standard recreational, but there are some similarities. And I know one question I had coming in was, if you ever wear fins or always in boots, and it sounds like in your world, which is inspection, you're quite often doing a lot of swimming and in fins. So just curious what, your typical setup looks like and gear differences.
Right. Well,
Yeah, you go first.
The only people that don't wear fins are those offshore guys that are down, 600 feet
Ooh, look at
doing
me.
doing work on rigs or pipelines and stuff, and that's just because they're dropping down a bell, they're getting out the bell, walking to the job site, and they're turning wrenches and then going back to their bell and then going back up. So they don't really need to swim.
They don't need it, yeah.
They don't need to swim around. Now the stuff we do, which is inspection and some of the maintenance and construction work inland, we have to swim from areas of the project to different areas of the project. Sometimes we have to swim for like a mile or so.
Yeah, sometimes we
wow.
never touch bottom. It's 40, 50 feet here in the port.
Treading
and
water.
We're just swimming along the piles.
And is that mostly, are you in a dry suit?
It depends on the water temperature. So depends on where we're at in the country. Typically here in California, Southern California, I only do 7 mil at the most. I never do dry suits. But there's some people that do.
3 mil, a holy 3 mil
You're
that
crazy.
I got 8 years ago, all year round.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I have a lot of insulation.
Sounds bone chilling.
But yeah,
And some
it
guys
doesn't
are like
get hot
that.
here. I mean, it doesn't get cold here ever, in my mind.
Oh, water's been great lately.
Yes.
It's been nice. But yeah, so we do wear fins as we're more inland divers. We work inland, so there's inland and offshore. Offshore is the oil rig divers that you see all the time in movies and stuff. We just recently had a movie called Last Breath, so that's all oil field guys.
Yeah.
So they typically don't wear fins. We do because we have to get to the job site. So whenever we have offshore guys coming on to inland construction jobs and they don't have their fins on, we're like, oh, flipping idiot. Yeah. So they always have a hard time. We get a lot of hate over that, watch.
Yeah, they adapt well.
Yeah,
They're good guys.
they are.
Yeah. We have a tank on our back, but it's our bailout. It only has enough air for about, 5 minutes?
5
so?
minutes of bottom time, that's the minimum amount of air that we have to have on our back.
That's in case we get in trouble down there.
And
So,
are you ever on rebreathers, or is that more of the deep offshore?
They've started to use some rebreather technology offshore. Most of that is going to be out in Europe.
yeah.
We haven't been using it a whole lot. Inland divers, we never use rebreathers. Our helmets, they are supplied from the surface with air, either high pressure air cylinders or with a low pressure compressor that blows into a volume tank, and then we breathe off of the volume tank. So
And so that's compressed air. You're not doing gas mixes like nitrox or things like that?
No, not
us personally, no.
no.
There are certain jobs though that you are going to be on mixes. Like there's a job in Hawaii right now that there's a company, I'm not going to say the name, but there's a company that's using nitrox, and they're using that to do their work in those mid depths, like the 60 to 70 foot depths. So that helps them to be able to change their table and to be able to get more work done. But anytime you use gas, you have to have a hyperbaric chamber on site. So that's why a lot of dive companies don't use nitrox, because nitrox is considered a mixed gas by our association. So would I love to use nitrox? Yes.
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
it's a safer gas for those mid-range depths, but it's very expensive to use in the commercial diving world. Recreation, use it. Just know the dangers, which is the big one is that they say is oxygen toxicity. You don't know if you're susceptible. You don't know if you're going to take an O2 tox hit until you actually take the hit, and then it's going to suck. So, but for the most part, we don't do a whole lot of mixed gas. We will do surface decompression every so often, which means that if we're down deep, like if I'm working on a dam that's about 150 feet deep or something, then go down, do the work, and then come up, and then they put me into a chamber on the deck of the barge, and then I'm in that chamber doing my decompression while another diver's going down and doing work. Typically, that's going to be on air. So the mixed gas is mostly for the saturation oil field guys, and that's going to be offshore.
And as far as the chambers on decks, I'm curious about the size. Are they kind of small,
Tuna cans.
single?
They are small. It's enough to have
Maybe
two
two?
people in
Yeah.
comfortably. But for the most part, it is for a single diver. There's enough space to get a medic in there if there's trouble. So it's a double lock chamber. So you have the main space, and then you have an inner lock where you can kind of put another person in there. And then that blows down separately. So that way, again, you can get the doctor in there if you need to get the doctor in there, or the medic.
And thinking about kind of the emergency medicine side of things, I know you mentioned that, Dan is kind of part of your emergency action planning. So curious about, times where maybe you or your team have had to call in, a Dan expert to advise on anything, or how you utilize Dan resources in your job.
Not yet.
Yeah,
For us.
but that's one of the nice things to have in your back pocket, though.
Yeah.
So we do have on-call doctors that we have contracts with, and we pay them, and they're there on call. But if you can't get a hold of them, then Dan is our next call, because we know, they're gonna have somebody there 24/7, no matter what time, and you're not gonna have the doctor that's on vacation. They're gonna find somebody for you. So that's why we do have, Dan in our back pocket, and we use you guys.
So I know you mentioned that education is a priority for the two of you, and you deliver talks to, at events like the Long Beach Scuba Show, and it sounds like to classrooms as well. So I'd love to hear about your work in that area.
So we love commercial diving. That's why we still do it. How long have you been diving for, Johnny?
Going on 16 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going on like 18 and a half, almost 19. So it's like we've been doing this for a while. We love doing what we do. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. And that's why I'm passionate about it. That's why we're successful with our show that we do. And we love talking to people. Especially we love talking to people that are interested in it, which here at the Scuba Show, they've invited us to talk the past 3 years. And we're here again, and we hope to continue that relationship, to keep talking. And we pretty much try to shed the truth on the business. We've been finding that a lot of, I'm not going to name any specific dive schools or talk bad about the dive school industry, but with the advent of social media, there are a lot of kind of myths. So one of those myths is that you're training to be an underwater welder. You're going to make what, Johnny? Like,
Oh, I don't know. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think I was told at one point. And I am technically an underwater welder, but if I had to go back again, I don't think I would do welding. And that's what I always tell the guys too, but
it's such a small part of the job.
it's such a small part.
So we try to speak the truth, and we try to tell people that are interested in it, hey, this is what it's going to be like. This is what you're going to be expected to do. And it can be really cool. It's the best feeling in the world to be down below doing work. It's not for everybody, and we let everyone know that as part of our education and speaking programs and stuff. Like I said, we just tell the truth. One of the big things that we touch on that Dan has a huge role in is hyperbarics, and they also know that there are not that many chambers anymore that treat divers. So that is a big thing that Dan publicizes. They have a list of chambers that divers can go to. So when you do get the insurance, the Dan insurance, you have access to where all those chambers are, and they'll help you find a chamber. Because again, a chamber that treats divers, it's not as common as it used to be. So, I love that Dan does that. And we also get the word out there too by saying, hey, when you're planning a dive trip, be careful, know where the chambers are, know if that chamber is treating divers. That should be the first question that you ask the hospital that's in that area. Does your chamber treat diving injuries? A lot of times they'll just do burn center stuff. And then you've lost critical hours that you kind of messed yourself up because you went to the wrong place. So yeah, it's stuff like that. That's part of what we do, is a lot of education, a lot of telling the truth about our industry and trade and helping people get into it. I'd love that there's more commercial divers.
Yeah. And we also try to showcase those schools that want to talk to us. I mean,
sometimes some of those schools that got the bad reputation, it has scared off a few schools. We're like, oh, we don't want to talk to you guys. We don't talk to you guys. But I mean, if you have nothing to hide, you can come and tell us what your school is about, what you offer. A lot of the guys are coming to the schools are military. Some, I mean, they need to know where their money's going and what that money can provide them for the school. Also in California, I mean, we're down to one dive school, and then the other one you have to be a prisoner to be in. So
we got 2 dive schools.
we used to be top
Santa
notch.
Barbara
Yeah,
and Chino.
yeah, we used to be number 1 in dive school, and now it's fading. So we have to start getting that back.
I think we need more divers, more commercial divers. So
Yeah.
if you're out there listening, and it can be for you.
If you want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, come on over and be a commercial
You
diver.
want to be an underwater welder?
You want to be a welder? You want to be a man?
Well, thinking about encouraging, the next generation of divers, or maybe, dive instructors who are perhaps disillusioned or considering a crossover or change. If there's a particularly rewarding day on the job or a job that just stands out as a highlight of your careers, is there anything like that you would share with them?
Yeah. I've got a few jobs, but some of the weirdest highlight of my career is definitely going to be diving in the Everglades. So we had a contract in the Everglades right here in Florida, this country. I've been to tropical places, done all that stuff, but it's the Everglades in my 20s when we were doing inspections in like culverts and low-level dams. I was scared. Several times I was scared. There were gators everywhere. But I was so young and dumb that it's like, yeah, I'll jump in there. There was only one area where I was like physically like scared to where it's like, dude, I got to get out. So I got in this hole. It wasn't a hole. It was a culvert that went across the roadway, but it had a gate in front of it. So we had to enter into the gate. So there was no easy way to get in and out. So I went in there and I'm waiting, and it wasn't even diving. I was just waiting. And I saw a bunch of dead pig pieces just floating around me. I'm like, there's dead pig pieces all over the place, like boars. And then I start feeling like something long, like swim across my my leg. I'm like, oh crap. I told the guys, I'm like, get me out of here. I gotta get out of here. So I'm like, it's definitely a gator. There's like dead pig in there, and then there's something long rubbing up on me. I'm like, yeah, that's it. But it was really cool. It was definitely a highlight of my career, that's for sure.
Cool. Man. Oh, okay. Matt,
I know.
Me next. Me next. Well, I was finning along Pier D one time, and I saw the biggest fish I've ever seen. But I don't really have much. I mean, here in the port, we don't. The real question is, if you have a scuba diver or a trainer who is looking to switch up his occupation from a beautiful tropical island to come dive at the Port of Long Beach, I would want to ask that guy what's wrong with him, because I don't see anything. We're lucky in the Port of Long Beach, we can see 5 feet in front of us. It's just murky, greenish, brown water. So I mean, I don't have Everglades stories. I just have, my highlight is I got to work in a darker water under the Queen Mary and do a hull inspection. That's my favorite ship. Dude. I love that. I've loved it since I was a child, and so I got to dive it. So that would be my biggest thing. But that was
to explore the whole ship.
Yeah, at night. The love I have for that ship. That was my highlight. It was just a simple hull inspection, and I think that's.
It took months though.
Yeah, it did.
We covered the whole ship.
The whole ship. So I mean, that was my big thing.
But yeah, no, I mean, somebody that wants to do what we do, and you don't have to stop being a dive instructor. You don't have to stop being a technical diver. That's stuff you can still do. It's just if you want your day job to be something different, if you want your day job to be in a wet wetsuit at dark 30 in the morning, more power to you. Come and do what we do.
You don't want to see your family for
a
long extended time.
If you want to travel
getting a little too crazy on you.
If you want to travel to new places, you're constantly on the move. If that's for you, let's do it. Come on down. But if you have a good 9 to 5 that provides you a lot of vacation time to be able to go to any tropical place you want to, you're better off just staying there, to tell you the truth. Unless you want to weld underwater, I guess. I don't know.
Weld topside and send it underwater.
It's work. It's work. It's physical labor.
hard work.
It's physical labor. We're underwater handymen, right?
Yeah.
We're underwater
day
laborers.
laborers.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they had an underwater Home Depot, I'd be right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Do you have to cut that too?
No, I don't know. We're both Mexican.
Yeah, we're fine.
So we're fine.
Well, I think it's clear you guys have, a lot of camaraderie, and it sounds like you started working together in
Oh no,
late
I hate
20
him.
teens. It comes through.
Oh man.
But I know you started your podcast in the late 2010s, it sounds like, or 2020 you launched, and it started working together before that. So kind of curious, I don't know if you guys are dive buddies on the job, or I know in recreational it's pretty standard to have your buddy. Do you normally work in pairs in what you do, or it's a lot of solo kind of work? Or
It can be solo work, and we have if we're working in tandem together, it's usually I'm the main diver, he's the safety diver. He can either be sitting on deck waiting for something bad to happen to me, or he can be with me and something bad can happen to me and he can get me. But really, when you're in the water together, both of you guys are the safety diver for each other. And we try to keep each other's within eyes view, try not to cross our hoses, can't cross streams, it's bad.
And then
Everyone
each
knows
diver has somebody above that's
Yes.
tending
And we
their
have
hose.
tenders, yeah.
It's tending their hose, and then a dive supervisor that's watching the dive tables.
I
and
would
stuff.
prefer the other diver in with me because sometimes it gets really boring down there what you're doing.
well, do you have underwater communication?
We
I'm
do.
assuming it's a lot easier than hand signals. It must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a guy though that gives a lot of hand signals on our team.
So we do have a comm set inside the helmet. So there is a microphone right there next to where we breathe. There's a microphone, and there's earphones inside the helmet as well. So we're able to hear what they're telling us from
Yeah, we
up top.
Yeah, we can communicate with topside and each other.
Very
And
cool.
usually it's loud enough to where even our tenders can hear what's going on.
Yeah, so we do have constant communication. It's always a team. We don't always have a buddy diver, like a
Right.
second person there with us, but we do have a standby diver that can come rescue us if we do get into trouble. So it's always a team of divers. It's a minimum of a 3-man team at the Port of Long Beach. That was one of the safest places that I worked at. I worked with Johnny for about 4 years. Each diver has a dedicated tender, somebody that's holding their hose and helping them, and a standby diver. And the standby diver is sitting there ready to go with the helmet in their hand.
Dressed out completely. Yeah, they have to be ready to go.
And then a dive supervisor that oversees the whole dive. So it's pretty structured. It's a lot different than your typical scuba dive. Scuba dive, again, is recreation. You're using hand signals. You're using a computer mostly. You're not reliant on anybody above to say, hey, you've got about 10 minutes left. We need you to come back up or come back pretty soon. So we're still doing tables the old-fashioned way with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big differences is we actually know our tables.
Are you saying that they don't know their tables?
I didn't imply that. Did
I'm
it sound like
pretty
I
sure-
implied that?
I'm pretty sure that's what he said, right?
Well,
That's what he
I think
said.
with the
I'm sorry
dive
about that.
computers, we can
Pretty sure
probably
that's
get a
what he
little
said.
lazier with it.
Man,
But
what a mean person you are.
Is that why
Just
people
the
don't like
aggression,
me?
just the anger I felt when you said that. It was ridiculous. Wow. We were having a great time. This was a great time.
so you mentioned some common myths and misconceptions that people may have about, the work that you do in world of commercial diving based on social media or things they read online. So could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Fortune and glory.
Fortune and glory, right? No, I hated that post that was going around, several posts that were going around, and it was on Instagram, and it would start out with the most dangerous job in the world.
that was
Do you
on
remember
YouTube,
that
too.
post on YouTube as well? The most dangerous job in the world, commercial diver, make $300,000 a year or something weird like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's not a dangerous trade. Our business has inherent risks. Anytime you go underwater, it's going to have inherent risks.
Right.
But when it's one of the, I was about to say it's one of the safest jobs.
It's
that's
Definitely
a lie.
not. But, I mean, to your point, things happen on every job. But luckily for us, knock on wood, that nothing's happened. going on 16 years, not once had a bad issue. And no one's died that I work with. No one's even been bent that I've worked with. So, I mean, it's out there, but you just got to be safe. I can't believe I just said that. Usually I'm not the safe guy, but yeah.
But there's so much safeguards in our business, though,
Yeah.
that it's almost like we planned for complete idiots wearing diving helmets,
Which we are.
right?
Idiots.
Even our tables are padded
Yep.
to the point to where you can be a complete idiot
Yeah.
and out of shape and still be all right. Still stand a chance
Yeah.
for the most part. But yeah, the common misconceptions, that's the thing that kills me, saying that we have a very dangerous job. It's not a dangerous job. To tell you the truth, the more dangerous job is probably driving to the job in Los Angeles, to
Right.
tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, or working around cranes, topside. I've seen more injuries on topside construction than I have seen on underwater jobs.
Yes.
And you can talk to that too. You've seen some horrific stuff with the Harbor Patrol.
Oh, yeah. Before we were commercial diving. Yeah, I've seen a lot of death in the port, and that has nothing to do with the water. So, I mean, it's definitely, it's dangerous, but it's safe at the same time. I mean,
That's one of the big misconceptions. The money pay thing
money,
is a big
that's
misconception.
the biggest misconception.
It's like any other business. You're not going to make a ton starting out.
No.
You can go to school just like any college graduate. You're going to go to school. That first job you get, you're not going to make a ton of money.
You're
It's
also
gonna
not
take
going to
you
get in
years.
the water unless you're super lucky.
Yeah. And you can get lucky and make a ton of money your first
You
year.
sure can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the expectations should be set a little bit lower. You're going to start doing really well after like year 3 to year 5, after you've done your like apprenticeship, your on the job training, so that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So just
everyone
because you go
has
to
to
dive
pay
school,
their
you
dues.
can't.
Yeah, be prepared to do a lot of grunt work.
And then also be prepared not to see anything. A lot of zero visibility work.
Yes.
So a lot of work with your hands, work by feel. If you're good in the dark, you're going to be great in the water as a commercial diver.
I also like when you tell people to have a construction background. Because like you said
Yeah.
earlier, you can be off the street and do really well at dive school. I've seen people who can't swim and are really great at construction work come in and blow all of us divers away because they just know their tools. And that's a big part of it. So
And then also another thing is, water is a great equalizer. You could be the biggest, baddest, person that's rough and tough. The minute you drop them in the water, they can be the biggest baby in the world.
yeah. Oh, I have one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
At dive school, there was a big muscly dude, military guy, and he was not very good in the water. Muscles don't help you in the water. You sink.
Out of curiosity, I'm just curious about women in commercial diving. Have you guys
Oh,
ever
yes.
had female team members?
I've never had a female team member, but we know of them.
I've had female team
You
members,
have?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and we talk about it on our show quite a bit. We have, female diver guests on our show. We actually even coined the same term that we would coin for male commercial divers. We tell people not to be meat gazers, which means that you look at genitalia when they're changing out. You don't want to be dubbed as a meat gazer, male or female. So we definitely do touch on the two sexes working with each other. So again, when we have those commercial diver females on our show that kind of tell us their story, they also touch on it too. And they're like, hey girls, this is how it's going to be like. This is what you got to watch out for. And they're our sisters. They're all our sisters in the business, sisters in the trade. So anytime we hear stories where people aren't being treated fairly or equally, it infuriates us. And we talk about it and we call them out.
Well, it's wonderful giving that a platform.
I tell you what, I've got a daughter that wants to be a diver too. She's going through a school at UCSD to be an engineer.
Oh, wow.
And I take that seriously. Johnny's got a daughter too. That might be a scumbag diver. Who knows?
No, I'll tell her no before that happens.
Yeah. You never know, dude. Never know.
No.
Well, one thing I've been thinking about is, when being in the underwater world is your work, and a lot of recreational divers are kind of working to dive and enjoy the underwater world. Does it still feel, kind of magic to you when you maybe see something fascinating underwater, or I'm not sure if you guys do much recreational diving or snorkeling or anything like that, but just wondering, if it still feels special.
I mean,
That's a
it
great
still
question.
does. I feel like
Yeah.
it still feels special. I have family that they go scuba diving all the time. We go to Catalina, we go to Laguna. We dive a bit, and I still find myself going like, oh man, look at this, and it's nice not to have this big heavy thing on my head, and I can be free, and I don't have to talk to anybody because I don't like talking to anybody, so I can use all the okay, and so it's fun. I enjoy it. Seaweed still gets me when it flows. I think it's so majestic, just nice and
I don't know,
green
it
and
freaks me
beautiful. I love
It's
it.
like I'm lost in the forest.
Yeah, I
Save
love
me.
going through the.
Save me, Johnny.
I don't know, man. And seals. I love.
Yeah.
I love seals.
And the reason why I said it was a great question is because it's something that I always allude to with Johnny. I'm like, dude, it's like diving, it's like you're chasing the dragon. Like how drug addicts, they're all chasing that first hit.
Oh yeah.
Do we have to cut this out too?
No, I mean
It's like-
everyone knows what a drug addict does.
Okay, so that's what they do.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're chasing that first hit, that feeling that you get, and what you're chasing is that feeling of specialness that you feel and see underwater. So you go through the suck, you go through the poop plant diving, you go through the seeing condoms and trash bags and stuff, and swimming with hypodermic needles.
That's Long Beach, by the way.
You go through all that stuff for just those tiny brief moments of like, oh, check it out.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool looking octopus. Oh, it just jumped on my arm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah. Our video feed when
Little
you
tiny
worked with
cool
us,
stuff.
yeah, it would be like that all the time. You act like a 5-year-old still, because you'll be sitting there. What's the fish with those ugly teeth that we
Oh,
love
I
so
hate
much?
the sheep's head.
Sheep's head.
They
yeah.
freak me out still.
Pure D.
They got
there's
human teeth, bro.
Huge sheep head in the Port of Long Beach, and we act like we've never seen one before in our lives. So we still have that like, oh my God, look at that! Can you see that through the camera? Like we still act like it's our first time.
Just a bunch of kids underwater.
It is.
A
You
lot of times.
become a kid underwater.
Yeah.
It's because we love what we do, really.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you're just chasing those moments. You're going through the sucky parts just to get to those nice little moments underwater where you're like just calm, serene, no worries in the world. You're just concentrating on your task. I mean, people like to use meditation to just kind of free their mind and everything. Commercial diving to me is like meditation when you're like doing something deep in your task and just underwater feeling a little bit of the slight pressure on you. It makes you feel skinny too. I mean, I love it.
Well, what's something that I feel like, recreational divers have a lot we could learn from the commercial world. Is there kind of one takeaway or lesson or piece of advice from your experience as someone who's dived both recreationally and commercially? What would you tell an average Joe open water diver?
Again, we talk a lot about tables. So one of the big things that we talk about is know your tables, recreational and commercial. Know your tables, your depths. And also another big thing that we do a lot of crossover episodes. These crossover episodes that we talk with recreational divers. The other thing that we talk about is know the symptoms of a decompression illness and report it. Report it after your dive to whoever's running that dive. Say, hey, I'm feeling this, this, and this. Know that if you're feeling certain things within 10 minutes, you're probably seriously effed up and you got to run to the hospital. So you don't know unless you know, which means that you have to study up, you have to read about it, you have to learn the symptoms is what I'm getting at. And don't be afraid to talk. Be very careful when you're out with, just like we're careful when we're working with other companies. We need to know if their equipment is up to snuff, if their equipment is certified, if their equipment is inspected. Same thing with recreational divers. If you're doing a charter somewhere, ask to see the air cert. That should be one of the first things that you ask for is the air cert, the breathing air cert. And if they don't have it within a year, then you probably shouldn't be diving with them. Yeah. So just stuff like that does cross over. And we're all in the business of saving lives and making sure everyone's safe underwater, whether it's for pleasure or for work.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you all, have benefited from Dan as a, backup safety measure, and, our research also, helping to serve the commercial diving world. And I think too, just knowing that, any diver, when they're in doubt, can ask Dan through whether it's the Ask a Medic hotline or the 24/7 emergency one. I definitely agree with what you said about if you have a doubt in your mind as a recreational diver, just go ahead and call in, Dan and the experts, and don't just, kind of sit with the pain and take an ibuprofen. I'm sure it's the same in your world. It's, better to be safe than sorry in that regard.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is a lot of the symptoms are very similar to working hard at the end of the day. So, yeah, a lot of the guys won't report it. They'll take some Advil, drink some beer, and get ready to work the next day because you don't want to miss a day of pay.
That's right.
And this is one thing I've been curious about, is I know that with decompression sickness, and one of the ways or a contributing factor can be consuming alcohol after diving in recreational. So I'm wondering too and I know a lot of recreational divers don't always adhere to that, especially on a live aboard or on a vacation. So I'm kind of curious about, if the drinking culture are kind of habits that in the larger world of commercial diving that workers may have.
I plead the fifth. I have no comment on this.
No comment as well. Sorry.
Well, on that note, well,
I'm probably going to get a beer after this.
I know you guys have a beer an offshoot podcast that is beer related.
Yeah, we do have a beer podcast.
Yeah, no, we're just playing with you a little bit. It is part of any construction trade. The drinking, drugs, all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
It's all part of a construction trade. Any stuff that you see there, you're going to see in the commercial diving world. And you have to watch out for the effects of it. As a dive supervisor, that's one of the things that we didn't touch on. So dive supervisor, they have extra training. They're responsible for their dive team. That dive supervisor has to be able to pick up on cues and say, hey, this guy's drunk as F. I'm not going to let him on the job site. And then now that changes everything, because that dive supervisor is liable for everything that happens. He's the authority that is going to get called into court. So it does happen. People do, like I say, drink and use drugs and stuff. Some have serious problems with it that they end up getting treated for it later on. Some divers have to give up drinking permanently because they just can't do it. But it is a part of the business, and there are certain things that you see underwater, that you do underwater, that can add to the drinking problem or the drug problem. So you do have to be very cognizant about your mental health. So that's a huge issue with commercial diving, is being mentally taken care of as well. So mental health is another big thing we talk about, and it could mean difference between life and death.
Well, do you ever experience, anxiety, or whether when you were first starting out in commercial diving, and just curious how you make sure you're taking care of yourselves and between work that can be, I'm sure very stressful and mentally taxing?
When I was younger, I didn't care about anything, but when I turned 39, 40, I think I had an anxiety attack in the water at one point, and had to come back to the boat. But luckily, it's only been that one time, and I wasn't doing anything strenuous. It just happened, and so I don't want to talk about it any further, but I don't want to psych myself up for another one.
No, it's not uncommon. Every diver I've talked to says the same exact thing. I didn't know Johnny had gone through that.
Yeah, just one time. Yeah.
But every single diver that I've talked to, every diver I know, after a certain age, when they get older, they all go through that. There is a period to where you go through to where you do have some anxiety issues, and part of it again is possibly due to what you have going on at home. Same thing. I've had an episode, here and there, to where it's like, got to get out type of thing.
Yeah.
Getting claustrophobic, something weird, and it's like if you're claustrophobic doing what we do, you can't work. So, there's
on more anxiety. Like,
yeah, but no, it's a good question, but it does happen. Again, it's something that you're doing for over 10 years, then you're going to get into the particulars of it, and you bring stuff from home, and it's like any other job. You gotta take care of yourself mentally as well. So you might be under stress. Maybe that's why you have anxiety, because you're under a lot of stress. So you have to take care of yourself, take care of your stress levels, get treatment, get therapy if you need it, because if you do panic underwater and you're in a tough spot to where you can't leave easily or swim back to the boat easily, you can hurt yourself if you start panicking underwater.
And this may be my last question, but, talking about, feeling unwell or anxious and, the kind of work that you do, I know one thing on the recreational side and that Dan encourages is, that it's okay to call a dive at any time for any reason, whether you're stuffy or, anxious or, had too much to drink the night before. And just does that kind of apply in your world as well? I'm sure when you're working, there's a bit of a different expectation when it comes to diving.
I know that applies to the port. I mean, if the divers don't feel comfortable at the Port of Long Beach, we can kill it right then and there. And really, the dive supervisor has no say on the matter, because we're the ones going down there to do the job. So,
I've had to. I told our soup once it's like, hey man, I can't. I'm up. I just can't do it today. My wife just got diagnosed with cancer, and I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about other jobs, but the port, we're really good about listening to everyone's needs or whatever.
And it is like that everywhere else.
Oh, good.
Like everyone has all stop work authority. Now there are certain companies that'll mess with you, be like, oh come on you wussy,
right?
Get in there. But no, if you're listening and you're a diver and you don't feel like something's right, you don't have to dive. Don't dive. If it happens consistently, then you probably want to think about a new career. I mean, that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Well, are there any parting words? I'm sure a lot of people listening will be interested to hear more from you guys and where they can find you and learn more about commercial diving.
Yeah, our podcast is on every major podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. You can say, hey Siri, play the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack podcast. Or you can say, hey Amazon, subscribe to the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack podcast. And then it'll pop right up. I did that on purpose because I know they're going to be listening on their phones.
Oh,
smart.
And then she's going to jump in and be like, ooh, here is the Bottom Dwellers.
Nice.
We have a website, thebottomdwellers.com. We also do several shows. We produce a show for the Association of Diving Contractors International, ADCI. That show is called The Downline. That's a more serious show.
Yes.
About diving regulations, commercial diving regulations. So I encourage everyone to check that show out.
That's a snooze fest for me.
Yes. We do have a show about beer and food, which is a lot of fun. And we're just type in Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack and you'll find us anywhere on Google. We
don't have merch, which we always talk about. But we will have merch if you go to Port Town Divers Instagram. There will be merch on the porttowndivers.store soon.
And we're at every trade show for the most part. DEMA, Underwater Interventions, Scuba Show.
Yeah.
So if you see us, stop us, say hi.
Tell us we suck. Do whatever you want to do.
Whatever
we don't
you want to do.
Yeah.
And we'll give you a sticker.
Sticker for your troubles.
Slap a sticker on your back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm subscribed and I've been promised a sticker, so looking forward to getting that.
Nice.
Thank you all both for your time. It's been a real pleasure and
thank you
this has been a lot of fun. So thank you for what you're doing to share information, and I've certainly learned a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.